No, number one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We begin a brand new week on this Monday night. Hope you had a great weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead. It is ACC week, ACC kickoff beginning tomorrow in Charlotte. Matt Smith will be there for us. Clemson Tigers will be there on Thursday. They go last, just like the Gamecocks did in Nashville. Clemson will be going in the last group on Thursday at the ACC. We'll be there for all 3 days, bringing you coverage of that. And we've got the Southern Conference meeting taking place on Thursday in Greenville. We'll bebop up to that and listen on the Southern Conference coaches. Got to believe Furman will be the pick to win the Southern Conference Championship this year. And we had the Sun Belt today having their session meeting in New Orleans, and a lot of good stuff about Coastal Carolina coming out of there. And so we'll cover all that for you tonight here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblue on the road. We have Pat Daniel back at our studios in Columbia and Chris Bergen at his studio at the Berge Palace over in Sardis. Good to have everybody back together again after a restful weekend, after a busy week last week. And now we are looking forward to what is ahead. High school practice begins this week. Right now in Greenville, the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, they are hosting their all-sports convention. And that'll be going on for a couple of more days through Wednesday. And then I think practice begins for most teams on the 28th, which is Friday. Correct. So get ready for high school football practice to begin, and then the games will begin on August 17th. Chris, hope you had a great weekend. Looking forward to the football. Had a terrific race at Pocono yesterday with a controversial finish. We had a runaway at the end of the Open Championship. MJ will join us in hour number 2 to recap the Open Championship. That was, hey, I tell you what, Harmon played great, and he held on to his lead. He didn't falter down the stretch. So a great first major win for him. We'll update recruiting as well and drop in more from some Clemson and SEC football coaches. So we got a full boat tonight. Chris, hope you had a great weekend.
I did. Thank you. The wife was out of town, so Finn and I were on the bachelor pad. Yeah, so we actually tried to go down to the beach on Saturday. And let me tell you, the beach is full. Don't come down here. Stay away. The beach is full. Coming back, as we were going down 501 Saturday morning, the stream of cars leaving the beach and heading back towards Florence was just incredible. And then trying to do likewise to come back later on that afternoon. I normally would just come straight up 501, go through Marion, and end up here at the house. Instead, I ended up pulling off in Conway at 378 and coming the back way just to try and avoid some of the traffic. I tell you right now, it's as bad down that way as I've seen in a long time. Yeah. And it will stay that way for a couple more weeks, even though school getting started here in South Carolina, next week for most? I know down here in the PD, they're getting started next week.
Can't start soon enough as far as I'm concerned. Get them back in school and get them educated.
And off the beach. So those of us who live here can go enjoy the beach.
Gym and get them back to school and out of our way. And, of course, today is a big day in the world because we no longer are on Twitter. We are on X.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know what it is. It's just what it is. It is what it is. It's X. So you're still tweeting. They didn't change the name of the tweet. It's still a tweet.
We're not Xing?
You're not Xing. But as I tweeted out today, I thought I was cute, but nobody responded to it. I said, I guess we're now all Gen Xers, huh? Hello.
Nice. Very nice.
That was kind of catchy, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's now called X. It's not called Twitter anymore. So if somebody wanted to start something called Twitter, could they go start something called Twitter, or does he own the name to Twitter? He probably owns the name to Twitter. I'm sure he's got that all covered up. But it's called X, just simply called X. So fantastic. But nothing's changed. Everything else is still the same for now, as far as we know when it comes to tweeting and reading stuff. So now we'll go over some news notes here in a little bit. Got recruiting for you as well. Really want to take your calls. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And we'll have some comments from some SEC coaches. Still going to get to some more of the Clemson stuff we got earlier this week. And, of course, more from Clemson coming up later this week when they have the ACC kickoff, their appearance at the ACC kickoff on Thursday. So plenty to do and plenty to talk about as we head into this week. And I think everybody is getting fired up and anxious for this football season to roll around, Chris. Optimism around the state at a lot of different stops. Obviously, Clemson feels good about itself, despite what some people might think nationally. I think by and large, I mean, there's a few outposts that aren't very high on the Tigers, but I think the majority are still pretty high on Clemson and see them as a top 4 contender. South Carolina is viewed as an up-and-comer still, a chance to improve on what they did last year. I think Shane Beamer, I think a lot of people who are outside the area really get sucked in by Shane Beamer and what he has to say and how he says it and his excitement level. And they don't know that much about the team. They don't know the ins and outs of the team. They don't know the positions all that well, but they hear Shane Beamer and the way he presents himself, the way he presents his program, and they buy into it. They believe it, sort of like what Dabo Swinney did in his early years, again, as we've mentioned several times. Coastal Carolina, once again, is going to be the favorite or among the favorites in the Sun Belt with a quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see how Grayson McCall adjusts to the new system, to the new coaches, to what they do with him compared to what he did for all those years with the folks previously, Jamie Chadwell at Coastal Carolina. I mentioned Furman figures to be the front runner in the Southern Conference this year. Newberry should be the front runner in the South Atlantic Conference with a chance to win another championship there. Should have been in the playoffs last year. I think we all know that. Should have been. I think there's new life and excitement down at the Citadel with their new coaching staff. Same thing at Charleston Southern with their new head coach and their new coaching staff. Always new excitement when you have a new coach come in. And, of course, Wofford. I think you got to keep an eye on Wofford with what Coach Sean Watson did after taking over and the way the Terriers finished last season. You got to keep an eye on them as well because they – in a short amount of time. So my point is, and I haven't touched on everybody, and I apologize if I didn't mention you, but my point is there's a lot of places for excitement about this upcoming college football season that you believe your team is going to be pretty good.
Walk me through something, though, and help me understand